Welcome back. This is Sudhir Shenoy, and we shall start off with part 3 of our session on retirement. We shall now embark on the very interesting exercise of determining what would be your expenses at retirement, the income required to meet those expenses, the corpus required to generate that income, and what is the shortfall in the corpus considering your current investments. There are a few steps which you should need to complete for determining these numbers. We shall first list out the steps in the proper sequence and then get into the implementation of those steps. The following are these steps. The first step is to make a copy of your budget and paste it in a new spreadsheet. We shall call this your current budget. Make another copy and paste it next to your current budget. We shall call it your retirement budget. Next, you have to review each and every line item in your original budget and then pause, ponder, and decide if that expense will continue into your retirement. If you think it will continue, then simply leave the figure in your retirement budget and go to the next item. If the expenses will not be there after your retirement, then in your retirement budget make that nil. Now consider all the pre-retirement decisions that we discussed in the previous video. Determine if any of those decisions entail a cost, and if they do, then include it in your retirement expenses as a new line item at today's cost. Do not try to project the expenses into the future because we will be doing it separately. Next, you have to list out your retirement assumptions. This would include the life expectancy of yourself and your spouse, the rate of return on your corpus post retirement, the inflation rate, and so on. Next, you have to compute the future value of the expenses after factoring in inflation. Compute the corpus required to be accumulated at your retirement. Take a stock of all your existing investments. Now, this would entail digging out all the details of your investment and listing them down, and this would not be a difficult task if you have already compiled your statement of net worth. Once having done that, you have to project the values of all your existing investments at the age of your retirement. The projected value of your current investment at the retirement less the corpus that you have determined for retirement in point number 9 would give you the gap that needs to be addressed on a urgent basis. We shall now go to the Excel and see how each of these 12 steps that we have listed are executed, and this is going to be a very interesting session, and I would also say that for those of you who are not from the finance background, or those of you who are not very conversant with the operation of the Excel, this could be a little heavy subject, so I would request you to pay very close attention to each and every step that we discuss. Here is the spreadsheet. Now, the first step, like we said, paste a copy of your current budget in the spreadsheet that we have done here from row column A to F. We have mentioned that this is the first step. The second step, like we mentioned, is to copy a similar template next to your current budget. That is also done here, and as you can see, the totals of both the templates are 26 lakhs 400 because both of them now contain identical figures. We shall now execute step number 3, 4, 5 and 6 for each and every line item in this budget. Let's start off with the household expenses. Currently, you have got household expenses totaling to 10,500 per month or 1,26 per annum under the various heads here. Now, we are assuming for the purpose of this exercise that on retirement, you and your spouse would be moving to the retirement home, recognizing the advantages of moving there, and therefore none of these expenses like house rent, house maintenance fee, house improvement, maid, etc., you will not be incurring it after your retirement. So we will be making them nil. Next, we see the utility part. Utility includes electricity, water, phone, and internet, and so on. Electricity also will be nil because you are not staying in your house anymore, but you might be keeping it locked up, and the minimum bill amount might be continued to be incurred, which would be say about 100 rupees a month. Similarly, water also will keep say about 100 rupees a month. You won't be using your cable TV, you'll be cancelling your subscription. Phone and internet, let us keep it that way because you'll be maintaining your mobile, you and your spouse. Let's reduce it to, oh, let's keep it at 1500, it's okay. LPG again you will not be having. Clothing and laundry, let us review that now. Yes, you are currently incurring an amount of 4000, and now since your children are not there, they have gone into their career and they are not staying with you, let's reduce the figure to 2000 per month. You won't be buying any jewelry, let's assume. You might be want to travel, so we'll keep this 5000. Personal hygiene refers to all the personal products like soap, shampoo, shaving cream, etc., so you'll be continuing to use that, it will remain. Let's keep the gift as well. Coming to the food items, grocery will not be there because the retirement home would have a canteen of its home. School lunch definitely won't be there because your children are not no more going to school. Let's keep the vegetables and fruits, and let's take off the miscellaneous. Healthcare, yes, medicines, your medicinal requirement would go up, so let's make it 3 times the current per month. Doctor, there will be a doctor on call in the retirement home, so you may not be incurring this expenditure because it would be included in the package, but let's retain that. Similarly, hospital and clinic also we will retain, but we'll remove this miscellaneous. Education of your students, school fees, transportation, nothing will be there because your children are no longer in school. We'll remove all of them. If you are maintaining your car, these expenses will be there, but since you will not be using it as extensively as earlier, we will be reducing that. Your fuel expense also, let us reduce it a bit. Commuting expenses will definitely not be there, but let's keep some small token amount. You might not be commuting to work, but you might be commuting to other places like shopping, etc. Miscellaneous again, let us not have it. You might want to do recreational travel, yes, and health club fees we can take off because this retirement home would have a gymnasium, a yoga class, jogging tracks, and so on. You might want to continue with your hobbies, you might still want to go to movies, you might want to travel a bit, and you might want to pursue your hobbies of reading. Dining out may be reduced a little bit because it will be only the two of you and your children won't be with you for. So we come to insurance next. Since you are maintaining your home insurance would continue, life insurance definitely would continue, vehicle insurance, yes, since you are maintaining your vehicle. Health insurance, let us jack it up a little bit because you will need to have more insurance as you age. Let's look at the liability part. Hopefully by the time you retire all your loans would have been paid off, so we'll make it nil. And income tax, you would not be having so high an income tax because you might be drawing pension. So let's keep it a little low, and also the tax slabs might be increase by the time you reach your retirement age in about 20 to 25 years, but we'll be reviewing this every year. So let's now start it off with 10,000. By the time you retire, dependent care for your parents will not be required, so we take it off. And then we come to this new line item, which is the fees for the retirement home for senior citizen home. So let's assume that you'll have to pay 50,000 per month for each of you, so that would be around 50,000 per month. So that takes your annual expenses to about 13 lakhs 14,000 as against 26 lakhs today. With that, we complete step number 3 to 6. I would like to you to note here that although we have done it quickly, this exercise really takes time and it has to be done in consultation with your spouse. You have to factor in all the expenses that would be incurred as a result of the pre-retirement decisions that you would be making, like moving to a retirement home or moving back to your native place or moving to a new city. Okay, so that completes the steps 3 to 6. Now we have to go to the next step of listing out the assumptions for retirement, which we shall do here. Just note this 13 lakh 14,000 which I have equated link to this cell. We go to the next step, which is step number 7. Here you have to put in your assumptions. We assume that inflation will be 7%, the age of retirement will be 60, the income from investment of your corpus would be 6%, your life expectancy of you and your spouse will be 80. You put your age here and the age of your spouse here, and this figure we shall explain shortly. Now we have put down your assumptions. We go to the next step, number 8, and for computing the future value of expenses at retirement. That is done in this table. The first value that you put here is of course your age, which is picked up from this table. This is the current year, the year in which you are doing this working. If you are doing the same working as a part of your review in 2020, you just put 2020 here and all the other figures are incremented by 1. Similarly here all the figures are incremented by 1, as you can see in the formula bar. So we remove the arrows now. Now when you are 40 in 2016, the annual value of your retirement expenses at today's cost is 13 lakh 14,000 as we have just determined. Now since we are assuming a annual inflation rate of 7%, the next year this 1314 would increase by 7%, and the year after that this 1405 would increase by 7%, and so on. So every number in this column is 7% more than the number in the previous year, because we have assumed the inflation rate of 7%, which we have to factor in. Now we have done this point number 8. Now we go to point number 9, which is to determine the corpus that you require for retirement. How do we do that? Let's look at this chart. This number in the yellow cell is the, let's see what the comment says. This cell contains the value of the corpus required on retirement, which should provide income to meet the inflation adjusted expenses for the lifetime of both the spouses. Now note this, lifetime of both the spouses, which means not only till you are 80 but also till your spouse is 80. So now we come back to this figure of 85. See, you are 40 today and your spouse is 35. Okay, so the retirement will start from the time you are 60 till the end of life of your spouse, as is mentioned here. So your retirement starts at 60 and goes on till the end of your life, which will be over at 80. And since your spouse is 5 years younger to you, she will continue to live up to 80 and she will live up to another 5 years, so 85. Thus we see that this is the year up to which this corpus should be able to provide income to cover the expenses. So the expenses till 85, this line item, this is the age which will be the last year of your spouse. Now suppose you were say 45 and your spouse was say 30, a difference of 15 years. It happens in some cases, in which case this corpus here should provide income to meet the expenses from the time you are 60 till the time she is 95, to the time she is 80. So when your retirement starts at 60, it will go on up to 80 here, by which time she would be 65 and she will be living for another 15 years till she is 80. That is, in this line item, another 15 years would mean it will reach up to 95, and that is the figure of 95 which is self computed. So we revert back to the earlier values, and now we have to understand that, again I repeat, this is the corpus which is the starting point of your retirement. This is the source of your income, so this has to be correct, otherwise it will not last till the lifetime of both yourself and your spouse. Now look at this line item. What is this line item? This line item picks up the value of closing balance of this table as of the end of life of your spouse. This value has to be 0, because that shows that when your spouse is 80 here, this has to become 0, which means that this corpus would last or provide income for both of you. If it becomes negative anytime before, it means that your spouse or yourself would be in a financial crisis. Alright, so what we have done is we have picked up the number here in this column, which is the balance as of the last year, or rather the end of life of the spouse. The objective is to make this 0 by adjusting this number, which we shall do by using the goal seek function. So here we go. We have to set cell W6 to value 0 by adjusting the value of the corpus, which will give us a corpus of 14.6 crores. This is figure in crores. So let us see now how this thing works. This is the age at which you retire or choose to retire, which is picked up from this chart. This is the year in which you will retire, which is picked up using the VLOOKUP function from this chart. This is linked to this chart here. This says, in this array from this in this chart, in this table, look for the figure of 60 in this column, and wherever the 60 appears, pick up the figure in the second column and put it next to it. Here it is 12, 20, 36. So when you are 60, the year will be 2036, and all these numbers are, as you can see in the formula bar, it's just an increment of 1 over the previous year's figure. The income. Now when you start off with the figure of 13,14,000, which is the retirement expenses at today's cost, you want to see, if you apply the inflation rate of 7%, how much it will be when you retire. So as we discussed before, these figures are, each of these figures are 7% higher than the previous year's figures. So when you are 60, what is 13,14,000 today would have grown to 50,84,000, and that figure is automatically picked up in this column here, and every year that figure is incremented by 7%. So this is a figure that is picked up from this chart, and it is incremented by 7% every year. Now let us see how this whole thing works. You need a corpus of 14 crores 6 lakhs. Assuming that you have a corpus of 14 crores 6 lakhs when you are 60, it will fetch you an income at 6%, at, again let me trace it back, yeah, it will fetch you an income at 6% per annum on the opening balance. So it is linked to this cell. It takes the opening balance and earns an income of 6%. Now it is 84 lakhs in the first year, and the expenses is 50 lakhs in the first year of your retirement. So this becomes the closing balance, which is the opening balance here. It is earning income, meeting expenses, closing balance, and so on till such time you are 80 and you pass on. Now but your wife has 5 more years to go, because she is 5 years younger to you. As is seen here, you are 40, she is 35. So when you are 80, she will be 75. So she has to be around, she will be around for 5 more years. So this has to continue and continue to provide funds to meet expenses which are increasing due to inflation every year, and for another 5 years. Yes. So by the time she passes on, at the balance in this whole chart becomes nil. So this is validated. Now let us see for another value, just to satisfy ourselves that this works fine. Suppose you choose to retire at say 55, and your age is today say it is 35, and your spouse is say 30. Then first you got to make this value 0 by using the goal seek function, and determine the corpus, which is 17 lakhs. When you change the values, the corpus also changes. And since your spouse is 5 years younger to you, your retirement starts at 55. At 55 your expenditure here will be same, 50 84. Now your 50 84 here, like we said, your corpus requirement will be 17.18 crores, which will provide income to meet your expenses till such time you are 80, and then your spouse, who is 5 years younger to you, will continue to be around for another 5 years, and then this becomes 0. So this works fine. I have tested it and it is robust enough. We go back to the we go back to the earlier value of say 60 years here, and we recompute the values to make it 14.5 19.2, sorry, it was 40 here and 35 there, 40 here and 35 there. So make this value equal to 0 by computing, changing the cell. Yeah, so this was the value. We have now determined that you need a corpus of 14.606 crores to ensure that the retired life of both yourself and your spouse is taken care of out of the income generated out of this corpus to meet the expenditure of your retirement, which is inflation adjusted, as we saw, and that would complete the step number 9, which is to determine the corpus required for retirement. Now we have to see whether the investment that you already made would achieve this target of 14.06%. So we go to the next step here. It's the next step says take stock of your existing investments. So what we do is we list out all our existing investments here and try to see what would the value of this investment would be by the time you retire. Normally investments relating to retirements are the public provident fund, the employee provident fund, the superannuation. Some people also invest in systematic investment plans. Gratuity, of course, would be coming from your employer, and so each of these things will grow from. These are the values as of today, and this would continue to grow for the next 20 years. How does 20 come? Let us see. 20 is the difference between your current age and there is this 40 and the age at which you have chosen to retire. So all this current investment would continue to grow for the next 20 years at certain percentages. What are those percentages? PPF at 8%, that is a running rate today, 8 or 8.5, whatever is the rate and the time you and the date on which you make this plan, you have to put it here. Similarly for EPF, all these rates would be available. Superannuation is something for which there may not be any rates, but you have to assume the same rates as PPF and EPF. It would give you a fair idea of what would be the amount that would be coming to you. SIPs, of course, grow at a higher rate, 12 to 18%. We are conservative and we take only 12%. So the values of all your retirement fund projected as at the date of your retirement would be all these numbers here. Gratuity is calculated a little differently. Suppose your current basic is you have to project your last drawn basic here, some figure which you have to extrapolate from your current salary, assuming say 5% rate of increment every year. So this is something that we don't know, that you know that you need to put here. Number of years of service would be say 15 years in your current company. So it would be, if you are 40 today, it would be say 20. So let's put 20. So the gratuity that you would collect has got a formula. It is 15 days upon 26 days into number of years into the last down basic. That gives us some figure of say 11,53,000. The total of all these numbers adds up to 4.8 crores. Now we have done the step number 11, project the values of the investment at retirement. The difference between the value in 11 and 9, which is 4.86 and 14.06, is the gap. In your case, or rather in this case, it is 9.2 crores, which is short. We are short of 9.2 crores. At this point, we have executed all the 12 steps. Now when you do it for your data, you are executing all the 12 steps for your data, you would arrive at one of the following conclusions. Either you are on the right track and the investments that you are now making will ensure that you have the appropriate amount of corpus, or you would have determined that you have a shortfall in the corpus, like we just saw. It is pertinent to note here that all these 12 steps that we did in this session have to be repeated each year as a part of the review of your financial plan. Now this exercise would raise a red flag early enough in case your corpus requirement has increased, in which case the shortage would also increase, and it would enable you to take steps to make appropriate changes in your investment plan and in your investment pattern. The next step, of course, is to get into the ways and means of bridging the gap in your corpus, if any. Now that brings us to the end of part 3 of this session on retirement planning, and in the next session we shall see the ways and means of bridging the gap in the corpus required for your retirement. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a great day.